They say every man is born with a purpose, but Eli Turner never imagined his purpose would begin the night a trembling shadow twice his height appeared at his cabin door. Her voice shook the earth when she whispered, "Please, don't scream." And that was the moment Eli realized two things. First, she was a giant girl, barefoot, bruised and wrapped in rags that barely clung to her. Second, she wasn't dangerous. She was terrified. Before she could speak again, she collapsed on his porch like a wounded mountain. And Eli, small, quiet Eli, ran forward without thinking, pressing his tiny hands to hers and saying, "You're safe here." That night, everything changed. Before we continue this powerful story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to channel name Like, where every story reminds us that kindness still matters. For days, Eli cared for her wounds. He learned her name, Nara, a gentle-hearted giant girl born to a tribe of warriors who believed strength mattered more than softness. She was mocked for being clumsy, too kind, too emotional, and when war threatened her land, she fled, refusing to hurt anyone. Eli didn't know why, but he found himself sewing clothes for her, patching her torn cloth with whatever scraps he had, until one day, she looked down at him with eyes full of a lifetime of loneliness and asked, "Why are you helping me?" Eli shrugged. "Because someone should." She smiled, and something inside Eli shifted. Not fear, not pity, but a strange warmth, growing like morning light. A week later, Nara confessed the truth. Her tribe had been searching for her, not to punish her, but because she had been chosen for a sacred role, a bride who could bring peace between rival clans. But she didn't want to return in rags. She didn't want to return alone. "Eli," she said softly, "will you walk with me, even though I'm like this?" Eli touched her hand. "You deserve to stand tall, and you won't be alone." He stayed up all night at his little wooden table, candles shaking in the wind. With nothing but old linen, torn curtains, and a lifetime of patience, he sewed. He stitched. He worked until his fingers bled. When Nara stepped outside at dawn wearing the long, flowing white dress he made, she cried, and the earth trembled with every tear. They began the journey to her homeland. But Eli didn't expect what was waiting for them. An entire valley filled with warriors, tens of thousands of them, all standing still, all staring at the giant girl dressed in white, and the tiny cowboy holding her hand. A commander stepped forward. "You ran away," he thundered. "You refused war. You brought shame." Nara bowed her massive head, trembling. But Eli stepped forward, voice shaking but loud. "She didn't run from battle. She ran from hate." He pointed at the dress. "And she's not ashamed. She is loved," the warriors murmured, not in anger, but in awe. For the first time, they saw her not as a misfit, but as something pure, something hopeful. The commander lowered his weapon. "Prepare the drums," he declared. "Let the valley witness this union of courage and kindness." And just like that, every warrior, every chief, every elder stood as witnesses, not to a political marriage, not to a forced tradition, but to something simple and powerful. A giant girl finally treated with dignity, and the small man who gave her the courage to return home. When the ceremony began, Nara bent low so Eli could place a handmade necklace around her neck. And when he whispered, "You're beautiful," the crowd went silent, not because of shock, but because they finally believed it too. The wedding drums echoed across the valley. Warriors stamped their feet. Children cheered. Even the mountains seemed to rejoice. And somewhere between those thunderous celebrations, Nara leaned down and whispered, "No one ever made me feel seen. Until you." Eli smiled softly. "Everyone deserves someone to see them." In the end, Nara's tribe found peace without a single drop of blood spilled, because kindness had done what armies never could. And maybe that's the message today. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion can lift someone who feels too big, too broken, or too different to ever belong. Sometimes that small kindness becomes the reason an entire world changes, and that is why kindness still matters.